whatsoever.
Tyrel Kirkham, he is the Chief Marketing Officer of the Big 12 Conference. He joins us on 365 Sports, Paul Catalina, David, and also Craig Smoak. Tyrel, thanks a lot. Rucker Park, I know this was some of these new ideas that the Big 12 administration and office is coming up with. I know there might have been some rain issues as well, but now that you've had this event, how did it go? Was it better than you could have expected?
First and foremost, thank you for having me on. I am over the moon at the outcome of today's event. We got a little bit of rain, but we got through about 80% of the students and impacted over 200 local youth of the Harlem area. And you talk about the new ideas that we've been able to generate. It's beautiful to see them pay off in a meaningful way. When you look at these kids being instructed by 11 Big 12 coaches, including the likes of Scott Drew, Jerome Tang, Boris Boykins, and a host of others, those smiles on their faces are priceless. And that's what it's all about. We want to continue to be the best basketball conference on court, but are equally as excited when we can do some feel-good stuff in the community.
And for you, just as, getting the word out about, kids in Harlem may not know about Kansas State or Iowa State as much as they do some of their local things. So you're probably building some pretty enthusiastic young fans of the conference too, aren't you?
Yeah, we surveyed, I'd say about half of them knew the Big 12. They all know us now. The fact that we're able to create an aspirational play. We had Marquise Noel, Naquan Tomlin from K-State. As you know, they went on that epic run last year, and being able to connect the dots between them being raised in Harlem and coming to K-State and putting on for their city and for the city of Manhattan, Kansas as well. That is aspiration. They can come back and tell those stories to the youth and say, you may not go to school nearby, but you can still have an impact and come back and give back to your community in a meaningful way.
Tyrel, all these coaches have their various camps and things that they're a part of, but I'd imagine to be outside in New York City at Rucker Park, just got to be a bit of a different feel. What's kind of the early returns you got from folks like Scott Drew on their experience today?
It was Coach Drew in particular. He left smiling, just how rewarding it's been. And, he was on our coaches blitz a couple weeks last year to kick off the college basketball season. Him coming back for this moment. You can just see the excitement on their faces. And I think for us, that's the most rewarding part of this entire process. At some point, we were talking about 12 and under today, but some of these same kids could certainly be part of their recruiting cycle in future years. To start with the feel good and then ultimately end up with other opportunities as people continue to familiarize New York City being synonymous with the Big 12, despite us not having a team here. That's what us building our brand and telling the Big 12 story is all about.
Tyrel, how many times since Brett Yormark arrived, and obviously you joined the staff and a part of the administration, have you guys had brainstorming sessions, and not just the two of you, where both of you stared at the other one with a blank face, or has it always almost been, man, that damn sure makes sense, let's do it?
We throw a lot against the wall, and for me, I'm very fortunate. I had the pleasure of working with Commissioner Yormark during his time as CEO of the Brooklyn Nets. I spent 6 awesome years with him, and he is the sole reason why I made the leap to the collegiate space, because I believe in him. I believe in his creative vision. I believe in his empowerment and giving his staff the autonomy to bring creative ideas to the table. And do all of them manifest? By no means. But, we have healthy dialogue and figure out what's most suitable and authentic to the Big 12 brand. And then once we get the buy-in, and, our ADs are involved in that process, presidents, student athletes, we try to get full perspective. And when we feel like we're going to go in, then we go all the way in. We don't want to, misstep. We believe in, creating as holistic and impactful activations as we possibly can.
Do you think you'll see some copycats coming in after you guys as, plumbing New York City as a resource for marketing that maybe they've left behind because they are far away like the Big 12 is, but there are, especially basketball players, there are so many.
Yeah, I think for us, our sole focus, you heard it during Media Day, it's always about the Big 12 and how we compare ourselves against ourselves rather than think about what somebody else might be doing in real time or what they might do after we do it. We certainly think we're innovative and take credit and appreciate the sort of energy that goes into our thoughts. But we also know it's a competitive landscape. If there's a creative opportunity to enhance a conference or an institution, then we encourage them to do it too. I think competition just brings the best out of everyone. And the pro experience that I've had, that was the best thing that taught me, working in the NBA, the NFL, MLB for, 16, 17, some odd years. I was working for the Mets and Nets and Rams, and my peers were being equally as competitive. But like for me, it was about putting our best foot forward and continuing to enhance opportunities for the particular institution or team that I was working for at the moment.
You got your degree from the State University in New York. So to be there today, how much also personally did it mean to you to see that event go as well as it did? The smell of New York City and just being back home. I've been on the road, living in L.A., Michigan, and now Dallas. It was a homecoming on a multitude of reasons. I actually just had a 3-month-old, so to come back to New York and introduce him to my family for the first time while being at Rucker Park and connecting with a place that will always be home is certainly probably the most rewarding piece outside of, not to get, sad or anything because it's actually a joyous occasion, but, a lot of those kids, seeing them grow up and how they were looking at Jerome Tang or, any of the coaches that were there, both boys and girls today, it's aspirational. So as now with a child at home, it just pulls at my heartstrings knowing that, the impact that these coaches can truly make on a kid for 5 minutes of their time or an instruction during a dribbling drill, it has much greater meaning, which, that's all we could ask for. I saw the video of Coach Tang and part of the K-State staff and also Noel, as you mentioned, coming back and just that love among those two and much more. Overall, Rucker Park has an amazing history and tradition. So how did that come about? Did you make that contact with them? Did they say, heck yes, let's make this happen? Or was that kind of over time?
So oddly enough, during the time that Brett and I were in Brooklyn, we developed a relationship with Eric Adams, who's now the mayor of New York City. But at the time, he was the Brooklyn borough president. So a lot of the things that we need to get across the finish line with the Nets, he was an integral part of bringing them to life. So the first time this idea was sort of brought to life, and we said, well, if we're going to do it in New York, we need the city support. And we reached out, found out that he had an initiative involving youth and sports and outdoors in the summertime to just give kids things to do, which for us, again, it always is rooted in authenticity. So to have his buy-in and working with his team and staff in the New York City Parks Department, it was a no-brainer. And hence the reason why, it came together so seamlessly, knowing that we had some of those built-in connections.
Do you feel, like you said this, that you guys don't worry about what others are saying, but it does seem like some of the other conferences are paying attention to the Big 12. Brett's not, that doesn't even get on his radar, does it?
No, like I said, we're solely focused on the Big 12. Our competition is ourselves. And I think when we brainstorm for the benefit of the conference and our success, whether it's tapping into new audiences, whether it's giving us a recruiting advantage for our institutions, we are solely focused on, our goals and objectives, and then we implement the strategy that helps us achieve those goals. And, we didn't have a marketing department prior to my arrival, and, the board and everyone's been very generous to make sure we build up the headcount so that we have the resources internally to really take things to new heights. And I think that's been an added benefit for the success of the conference as of late, and that starts and ends with Brett's leadership and his approach.
Tyrel, last thing is that I know there's been a lot of promotions announced. There's the stuff There's the events going to go on in Mexico City, which we talked to Brett about last week at Arlington. Are there already things or promotions or calendars of events that have not even been released yet or promoted that you guys already have kind of somewhat locked in?
Yes. I mean, one of the priceless messages last week, and I hope everyone heard it loud and clear. We're always going to be happy, but never satisfied, and take pride in one-upping ourselves and coming up, not just with, ideas are ideas, but when ideas have meaning and purpose, it makes the work more rewarding. And that's where, I would say our roadmap is we're a year or 2 years out right now with big ideas. We like to keep the steady drumbeat. And we hope that our Big 12 existing fan base loves to hear it, as well as the new members, that, the new fans that we're trying to attract through some of the initiatives that we're bringing to life.
Tyrel, we know you're busy. I know you had a great time. Glad the Big 12 had a great time. Most importantly, the young men and boys and girls who were there who enjoyed that as well. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, listen, one final thing before I go, because, as a New Yorker, it was only right that I'm sitting in traffic right now, approaching the airport. So this is the perfect ending to what was a great day.
You got the full experience, Tyrel.
Absolutely. Yeah. Nobody who's ever been there understands what you're talking about. Or lived there.
Roll down the window and curse at somebody so we can really get the full thing.
I can have a full conversation with the person to the right of me right now. This is beautiful bumper to bumper New York traffic.
We have to tell this story. We were covering the NFL draft the year RG3 went number 2 in the draft behind Andrew Luck. And we were going to a comedy club, and we got into a cab, and I promise you, nothing they do in NASCAR when they're bumping and grinding compares to that 15-minute trip that we were inside of a cab in New York City. Nothing.
No, that's the priceless experience. I've got a multitude of those stories that I could tell for days.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, Tyrel.
Right.
Congratulations on what you're doing. Tyrel Kirkham, he's the chief marketing officer for the Big 12 Conference. And again, that quote that he put up,